Welcome to Main Street. We want to welcome you to Main Street and Bruno's of Little Italy. I am Ann Laidlaw, co-chair of the Main Street Revitalization Committee. And I am thrilled to be here this morning to welcome you to Main Street and to introduce to you the latest restored building on Main Street. But first I want to recognize members of the Main Street Revitalization Task Force and the Downtown Little Rock Partnership. So if any of our task force members and partnership folks are here, if you'd raise your hand real quick. I just want to, I don't see, there's a few hands, thank you. The Main Street Revitalization Task Force was organized in late 2009 by the Downtown Partnership at the Mayor Stodela's request, who asked us to organize, to request to explore and develop a vision for our Main Street. So the task force has been working for about 4 years now with city staff and downtown stakeholders to search for opportunities that we can stimulate new life on Main Street. So that's why we're here to celebrate today, because once again we've restored another building on Main Street, and that is definitely something to celebrate. So thank you for the task force members and the partnership, and of course Mayor Stodela for his vision. But today, on this beautiful September day, we get to celebrate a historic structure renowned in the downtown retail community during its time for what it was for this city. The prominent Gus Blass department store and dry goods annex is well over a century old. Construction began in 1912 and has been sitting vacant for about 15 years. But what you get to see today is a tremendous example of what can be done with a magnificent historic structure, recycled like new on the inside while preserving its beautiful architecture on the outside. This building has been re-engineered in the inside to be an energy efficient, sustainable building. It was the first department store in Arkansas to be air conditioned in 1936 and the first escalator that was added in 1948. We are so fortunate that new life has been breathed into this historic building, as well as a number of the neighbors that you're starting to see along Main Street. So this is truly an occasion to celebrate. But now named the Mann on Main, renamed for its original designer, George R. Mann, is the home to over 250 state employees. The Mann Lofts is the home to 19 residents and the much anticipated opening of Bruno's Little Italy right here on Main Street. So welcome to our state employees, the Bruno family, and of course our residents. But a project of this size, as you can imagine, takes determination, a commitment to downtown, belief in community, and a good dose of faith and financing. The track record that was established by this owner-developer team has proven they are clearly visionaries for Little Rock and our downtown. So I want to recognize those visionaries for you who displayed their faith and commitment to Main Street. We have Jimmy Moses, Rhett Tucker, and Chris Moses with Moses Tucker Real Estate. Then Tommy Lassiter and the Rogers family, the late Dole Rogers Sr., who Dole Rogers Sr. is represented today by his family, wife Ray Rogers, daughter Barbara Hoover, and son Raj Rogers. And we know that Mr. Rogers would have embraced this day and been so very proud of this accomplishment. I also want to introduce, down on my far left, Mr. William Terry and his family. This is the family member of the David D. Terry family, the original owners of the property dating back to 1868. So what a blessing it is to have Mr. Terry and his family with us today. Also want to introduce the state offices who get to call Mann on Main their home. The Office of Child Support Enforcement under the administration of Dan McDonald. If any child support folks are out here, if you all can raise your hand. The Arkansas Crime Information Center under the leadership of Jay Winters, Director. Where are you all? Just Jay? No, should leadership people. The Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy under the direction of Dr. John Kirkley, and I think several of their board members are here today. So welcome to Main Street, but the early commitment of these three are the ones that put this project on the drawing board. So we are very grateful for your belief and commitment to this project. But we've got a number more special introductions and guests that we want to recognize, and so I'm going to ask my co-chair of the Main Street Revitalization Committee, Mayor Stodola, if he will come up and take that time to do that. The mayor daily commits his time to Main Street and downtown, so thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much, Ann, and welcome everyone to a beautiful, beautiful September morning here on Main Street. You know, Main Street was and is the most important street in the state of Arkansas. It is a crossroads to the capital. It's a crossroads to the river. It's a crossroads to the excitement and activity that downtowns bring to a community. Main Street's been a little bit quiet for the last 30 years, up until the last couple of years when we started to dedicate some efforts to rejuvenate and revitalize Main Street. And I want to tell you that this is truly a wonderful morning and an occasion, and I want to welcome all of you that are here today, all of you state employees that are here, all of the people from the city that we have here, our Main Street Task Force, the Downtown Partnership, and all the other people who are working on Main Street that have been working so hard. I have long been a proponent of the adaptive reuse of old buildings and historic buildings, and indeed, the most sustainable building in the world is one that's not torn down, but one that is adaptively reused and put into a contemporary 21st century use, such as Ann Laidlaw and the governor and the governor's leadership have done. And so it is truly exciting to see what we're doing in terms of energy efficiency with a beautiful, beautiful building that was built by George Mann, or designed by George Mann and built by David Terry. And we're so blessed to have the Terrys with us today. Bill is a frequent visitor of City Hall and is going strong. I'm really happy to see the family here today. You know, these projects in this context of today face significant hurdles, and it takes smart people, it takes creative people to put together the financing packages to ultimately make the economics of these things work. Because if they don't work economically, they typically fail. And so I want to say congratulations to Jimmy and Rhett and to the Lassiter family and the Rogers family for working together in partnership to use the tools that we have out here that we've long recognized are important to be able to do the kind of things and to renovate the buildings that we have. So whether it's the use of historic tax credits, both the federal tax credits and the state tax credits, or whether it's the use of new market tax credits, and I see that Sam Walls and the Arkansas Capitol are here, as well as our Department of Arkansas Heritage, who help with the tax credit process. I want to tell you that those team players are critical to making this a success. And I want to thank you for putting your shoulder to the wheel on this. We've got other people that we want to interest in doing the same kind of things. We got other developments that are coming online in the fall and in the spring, and we got a few buildings that still are looking for people that want to put new and active uses in them. So let me just say that to my old friends Gio and Vince, Bruno and their families, we're excited to see you here, and I can't wait to see you throwing the pizzas. Which one of you gets to throw the first one? Gio does, okay. But you know, that's the kind of fun activity that's going to be going on. This is not just an 8 to 5 environment. It's a 24/7 environment. It's an environment that's going to be alive after the normal workday with excitement and opportunities to congregate and commune with your friends and neighbors and bring your families down here, whether it's Food Truck Fridays or the various festivals that are planned on Main Street. All of this is creating the excitement and the livability that people want in an urban environment. Jimmy and Rhett have 19 apartments in here, and I understand one of them is going to be available for showing after this press conference. And so I want you to know that this is just the first of many apartments that are going to be located on Main Street or immediately in the street adjacent to it. There will be 256 apartments on Main Street by the spring of next year. This place is going to be alive with excitement. I want to also just say that thank you to our city staff, Bruce Moore, our city manager, is here, and our Deputy Department of Public Works Administrator, Mr. Ronnie Lowe, is here, and others from the city. We work very closely with the developers and all of their contractors to make sure that we get these things right and that they're done right, and I know that we work very cooperatively with them. we are incentivizing the ability to redo these buildings, not only with our zoning ordinances that we have, but also with permit waivers that we have if you're using and putting residential properties down here. I also see John Honeywell, our interim director of public works, is with us. I'm glad John is here. He spends a lot of time on Main Street, almost as much as I do. So thank you all very much. I want to just close by saying that this wouldn't be happen without good planning. When I first became mayor in 2007, I had the good fortune to meet up with Richard Riley, the mayor of Charleston, South Carolina, who invited me to the Mayor's Institute on City Design immediately. And I brought Main Street as a project, the revitalization of Main Street. I felt it was critical. Any great city's got to have a thriving downtown community. And so I brought that project, and we met with architects, engineers, planners, financiers, the whole gamut to come together to talk about what could happen on Main Street. That was in 2007, 6 years ago. Based on that, we were able to get some planning grants. We got a grant, the Greening of America's Capitals grant, to talk about how we could green up Main Street. We got a National Endowment of the Arts grant for the Creative Corridor, and as you know, we're going to have a few more announcements coming up where we announce a lot of the arts organizations that are locating in the 500 block of Main Street. We've finally got an EPA grant, another EPA grant that's actually allowing us to improve the water quality. There's way too much concrete downtown, and we've got some ideas on how we can develop low-impact design to not only deal with the water quality issues that we have in terms of stormwater runoff, but also to enhance the beauty and the landscaping of Main Street. So all of these things are coming, and it takes the creative talent of developers and their contractors to try and bring these up so that people can enjoy this wonderful environment. So thank you very much. This is a great day. It's my pleasure now to introduce our governor. I've known the governor for a long time. I admire him for his steadfastness and discipline as it relates to the state's budget. We certainly are thankful that he has provided the kind of leadership to our Department of Arkansas Heritage, and that we were able to get the state historic tax credit in. We'd like to see that cap lifted a little bit, Governor. I know that's not going to be in your tenure, perhaps, but thought it'd be a good time for me to beat that drum anyway. I want to say that the governor has really shown foresightedness and leadership as it relates to the densifying of Main Street, the densifying of downtown. He has a philosophy and a policy to do everything he can to make sure that we do the same kind of things that I've been talking about, and that's to create a great urban environment here in the wonderful capital city. So if you would, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mike Beebe.
Thank you, Mayor. The downtown is the front door to our state. As you all know, we are in constant competition with our sister states and even countries around the world for new opportunities, economic development, cultural, educational, and other aspects of migration and in-migration, and to a large extent, retention and growth in our own people. And so it's essential, I think, that front door reflect the kind of prosperity that would entice that type of in-migration. And that's why the downtown area has always been a high priority on my part. I want to call out our master of ceremonies, Ann Laidlaw, who started all this stuff, but she I'm not sure she knew what she was getting into. She had a pretty safe job over at Building Services, and then I asked her to be the director, and it took her a while to accept that, as I recall. But she understands my policy about where it makes sense. I mean, we can't do it to the exclusion of good economics. We can't do it to the exclusion of good taxpayer decision making. But where it makes sense, and all other things being equal, downtown is important for our investment. And she's done a great job throughout the course of her tenure running this agency, the Arkansas Building Authority, of trying to instill what was a vision into practical reality. And so, Ann, thank you for you and your whole team doing that. I just think that you can't overemphasize the need for what's happening here. And as a result of that, we've seen great cooperation between Little Rock and North Little Rock, and the whole Argenta area downtown in North Little Rock also feeds into this vibrant downtown community setting. And so then that leads me to what I really want to say about Moses Tucker. Arkansas is lucky to have had Moses Tucker, and lucky to continue to have Moses Tucker. I don't know how many in this audience can remember the dilapidated warehouses and the slum nature of what is now President Clinton Avenue. But it wasn't that long ago when there was no activity down there. And when you build a hotel like Doyle Rogers built, that was a convention hotel that is necessary for any metropolitan area to be successful, to attract activities and events and conventions, you better have within walking distance something that entices those folks to want to be there, even over and above that hotel. So as nice as the hotel was originally as the Excelsior, and then it's been through a couple name changes, if Moses Tucker and others had not had a vision to take that whole President Clinton area avenue and create the kind of atmosphere that was competitive with other major cities, it would not have worked. You would not be getting what we're getting now, and that influx of tourists, that influx of conventions, that influx of people who may decide to move to and invest in Arkansas would not be possible. And so it started, obviously it was boosted to a large extent by some guy that lived in Washington, D.C. for a while and decided to build a library over there. But even though that was an anchor, that was not enough. And so you've seen that whole kind of development, but you need more than merely restaurants or nightclubs or art galleries or hotels or any of that other stuff. You also need residential accommodations. And so we end up with condominiums. Now the good news is the condominiums are nice and they're high rise and they create living opportunities. The bad news is you build a condominium and sometimes recessions hit, and so then you need to also be able to branch out and rent some. So that didn't stop Moses Tucker. And they recognize that once you do the President Clinton Avenue area in terms of what downtown really means for our visitors and for our front door, that the next step is to go perpendicular to that and to revitalize what the mayor said was the most important street in Little Rock for the entire period of its history. Only within the last 30 years or so has it run into the kind of problems that we have witnessed recently. And so now that's coming back through a combination of private investment, through appropriate governmental involvement, and through residential, commercial, and retail activity. So I'm going to tell you right now, and they didn't know I was going to do this, we owe a big thanks to Moses Tucker for what their vision was for downtown. Finally, it takes all of us together to do this. We've got to have people that want to live here. We've got to have people that want to do business here, like Bruno's. We've got to have, in certain instances, places where state agencies can provide the services in a place where people can get to. We've got to have a combination of all of these activities to make this viable and to make it work. I hope this is merely the beginning. I hope in months and years to come we continue to see the kind of investment in this critical area of our state that is that front door for our visitors. And I want to congratulate anybody and everybody who had a hand in getting this done. Thank you.
And thank you, Governor, for your belief in our downtown. Appreciate it. Well, behind every successful project is a creative and talented team, and I want to introduce that team to you now. The owners and developers, Moses Tucker Real Estate and the Doyle Rogers Company. Designer, AMR Architects. Construction, Clark Contractors and Central Construction. The tenant representative, Arkansas Building Authority. Financial partners, Arkansas Capital Corp and Iberia Bank, and the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. Thank you all for your contribution and your hard work with this project. But before we cut the ribbon, I'm at the podium, so I get to make a few quick announcements before you go. Food Truck Fridays resumes tomorrow, right down here in the corner of Capitol and Main Street. There'll be food truck vendors and live music, so please come out for that. We have the much anticipated opening of Bruno's Little Italy, somewhere around September 26th, I think. So thank you to Vince and Gio Bruno for that. And then we know there'll be a long line, so get here early. And I don't think they're selling fast passes, but maybe we can talk them into it. And then the third annual Food Truck Festival will be Take Over Main Street on Saturday, October 5th. So I look forward to seeing you all out on our sidewalks, enjoying lunch and dinner on Main Street. So I want to thank the governor again and Mayor Stodola for your attendance and your commitment to our downtown, to the Moses Tucker Real Estate, the Dole Rogers family, Dole Rogers Company, the Brunos, and all of those who've been a part of making this an occasion that we can celebrate. The tenants of Mann on Main have opened several of their offices today. So you can visit offices on the first floor, the mezzanine level, and sixth floor. There is one apartment open here on the first floor, and I think you enter right through those doors. And then I'm not sure if Bruno's is going to open up, but y'all take a good look, because in a few weeks we'll get to come back and enjoy dining here. So I thank you all for coming out to celebrate revitalization on Main Street. And so I guess Governor and Mayor, we can go cut the ribbon. Thank you all for coming. I think it's down here.